La Vía Express está diseñada con los más altos estándares a nivel mundial, que permitirán un flujo continuo a 90 kilómetros por hora. Contará con sistemas inteligentes de peaje, por lo que la velocidad de acceso será de hasta 70 kilómetros por hora y estará vigilada por sistemas de seguridad de última generación, que permitirán a los usuarios transitar con toda confianza a cualquier hora.
This is a 1950s solution to a 21st century problem.
The building of more highways, whether they're called expressways, with a seeming perception that you're going to ease congestion and alleviate CO2 emissions and so on. In fact, you're doing quite the opposite.
The computer animation is great. It's world-class animation, but I love the fact that there's no congestion on the highway. You know, the highway looks perfect, but it's just not a realistic portrayal of a highway.
It's full of lies. It is impossible. There's nowhere in the world that a high quality, high capacity, high speed road has saved time. New roads generate new traffic. New roads fill up with new traffic. And that road, interesting on the clip there, it showed about 3 or 4 cars having a nice time and running through it. I mean, there will be thousands and thousands and thousands of cars. The main thing that road will do is persuade thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands more people to use a car.
There's so much experience worldwide now to show that, well, perhaps for 3 months or 6 months or a year or two, you'd see some improvement, but the things will just fill up with more cars.
So, believe in dreams, believe in this.
Gracias a los ahorros en tiempo que generará tanto a sus usuarios como a la población en general, contribuirá sin duda a elevar la calidad de vida de la sociedad tapatía, ayudando además a disminuir las emisiones contaminantes a la atmósfera.
The video it's propaganda. It's ridiculous. It's laughable. You know, the idea that a multi-laned raised highway would reduce pollution. How, if you're bringing more cars into the system, how can that reduce pollution?
And if you have a look at a graph of cities that have large numbers of these intra-urban freeways, they have the highest levels of pollution, and in the cities that have the lowest levels of freeways, they also have the lowest amount of transport pollution.
It will create massive pollution, it will create congestion at all the exit and entrance points, and it will make the whole city more dysfunctional.
Giving more space to more cars. It increases your pollution, it increases the inequality of the city.
The repercussions of this type of a project are just, they're so far-reaching and so negative.
El proceso constructivo de la Vía Express estará a la altura de la infraestructura que hoy en día se desarrolla en Europa y Norteamérica. Este proceso minimizará las molestias a los vecinos, así como los contratiempos que los automovilistas pudieran percibir durante el periodo de construcción, que será de aproximadamente 20 meses.
And America has the worst reputation for mobility.
As all major projects in the world are so cheap, fast, doesn't bother anybody. All major projects in the world take longer, cost more, and bother a lot of people.
When city governments are going to do something that fundamentally changes the character of the city, it's absolutely instrumental that communities are involved in the process.
Este tipo de soluciones han sido implementadas en ciudades de primer mundo, como Tokio, Los Ángeles y Seúl.
Please show me a project like this somewhere in the world that has solved the problem.
You should go and visit Los Angeles or Detroit. If you can't, you should speak to people that have gone to Los Angeles and Detroit, and they will tell you that their congestion problems are the worst in the whole country, and yet they've spent the most on trying to relieve their congestion problem by building more freeways.
So they don't work. The M25 motorway around London was built a high quality, very expensive 6-lane motorway all around London. That had a design life of 30 years. And it filled up after 6 months.
I could cite an example from Texas in the United States where they had a 3-lane highway which became congested in the 1980s, and they made it into a 6-lane highway. And for some months there was a lessening of congestion, but then within a year the 6-lane highway had become as congested as the previous 3-lane one.
convirtiéndose en un elemento de modernidad, facilitando la convivencia de sus habitantes.
Some research has been done in the US and also in Australia on the communities that live very close to big freeways, and what they've found is that those people exercise less and are exposed to greater levels of air pollution than other residents.
From my experience in the United States, as well as my experience in Central Europe, building a highway in an urban area bisects the city, automatically creating on one side, the less desirable side of the highway, a ghetto.
And the thing that these elevated structures do is they slice a city right in half. They make terribly ugly, dangerous, noisy spaces underneath them.
The clever architects in cities today are saying we are taking expenditure, federal expenditure, national expenditure from freeways, and we're putting them into real sustainable ways of mobility, like bikeways, like public transport systems for buses, and better pedestrian access points, creating more pedestrian plazas, more bikeways in cities, and making the cities themselves more and more difficult for cars to get into.
La Vía Express tiene como objetivo que las personas de esta ciudad vivan mejor comunicados y cuenten con más tiempo para las cosas que realmente importan. Vía Express.
But this is just absolutely dreadful. It's nonsense, it's full of lies, it's doomed, it's a failed project, and it's basically throwing money down the toilet.
Vía Express.